Hello and welcome. My name is Kamoye Benjamin. Thank you so much for joining me for another series of peak performance secrets. I'm excited to connect with you today. And today I'm going to be talking about what are you afraid of? This is a fourth video in my series on fear. And today I want us to explore the roots of your deepest fears, but also really how do you read the headline message from fear? There are two headline messages that are coming from fear. How do you read those messages? And I'll share with you what those messages are and also how you can explore from those messages the roots of your deepest fears. If you're joining me for the very first time, welcome. My name is Kamoye Benjamin, and I do identify as a peak performance coach. What does that mean? It means that I come alongside individuals such as yourself and also with teams in organizations and help them deploy themselves at the optimum mindset and skill set required in order to create more. Every time we decide, we want to create more impact, income, decisiveness, clarity, cohesion, awareness, whatever more represents for you, there's a journey. There's a journey to move from where we are, which is here, to there, where more is. And that journey is a mindset and a skill set conversation. And that's the work that I do. And in my peak performance secret session, I just share tips that will give you the awareness, the insights, the wisdom, the ahas required to navigate your peak performance journey. Now, let's dive into it. There are two headlines that fear flashes into your system. Now, please, if you have not watched the previous three sessions that I have done, they're quite short. You can catch them on my YouTube channel. Just go into my page and you'll find, a playlist on fear series. We've defined fear already. So in this session, I will not spend a lot of time defining fear, but we defined fear as an emotion. Every emotion is a signal. It's a signal to take action. Fear is an emotion. Every emotion is a signal to take action. And so when fear gets flashed into your system, which is, scientifically a chemical dump and an electrical charge released into your system to cause you to become aware of a threat. And that threat, that signal, which is, hey, there's a threat, is impelling action through your physical system, either to freeze, to fight, or to flight. One of those three. And so when we're looking at it from the context of what are you afraid of? And hasn't someone ever said something like that to you? Like, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? As though there is nothing that you ought to be afraid of. Fear is our friend. It's a good emotion. And when fear comes to us, we ought to be able to decode the message that it has for us. Again, I did another series on the 4 steps to actually decode the 4 steps to have a meeting with fear and the 6 steps to actually decode the message from fear. But there are 2 major headlines that I'd like for us to explore in this session today. And those 2 headlines reveal a lot about our deepest fears. So here's the first headline. The first headline is, I am not enough. That's the first headline. I am not enough. I remember my mentor, Paul Martinelli, sharing this with us, and he said, all fear comes from one of these 2 headlines. And that headline is a message coming to you. That headline is a message coming to you. And the first headline is, I am not enough. I am not enough to handle this situation that I see in front of me. It's a question of resources. It's a question of resources. It's a question of identity when you look at these 2 headlines. Now, imagine that you are walking in the forest and you see a snake. And you see a snake. And it pounces out of the grass. Maybe it's a cobra. And it looks you right in the face and it's kind of, pouncing in the path. What do? You stop. And immediately, if you sense within you, there's already a big chemical dump that has been released within you. And what fear is causing you to become aware of in that particular moment is, hey, guess what? We do not have what it takes. We don't know how to handle this situation. That is exactly what fear is asking, telling you, hey, we don't know how to handle this situation. And so the first headline that fear brings to you is, I am not enough. Given the circumstance or the situation that you're facing, fear is telling you, I am not enough. Now, I am is a very important statement because it is an identity question. In other words, I am not the person. I am not that person. It's almost like saying, I don't work in a zoo. I don't work in a snake sanctuary. I don't have the cells of recognition. I don't have the cells of recognition to navigate this situation that's right in front of me. I don't have it. I am not that person. I am not that person. I am not that person. I'm not that person. And so fear reveals a big part of our identity. And if you connect this to the teaching that I did yesterday on, identifying your fear triggers, the identity piece comes in from, identifying your core fears. And your core fears are, number one, the fear of failure. All right? The fear of failure. And let me align it well. The first core fear here is the fear of looking foolish. And the fear of looking foolish is connected to your core gifts and resources, which is reason, being smart, which is connected to your core need as a human being, which is your need for autonomy. Autonomy. Let's get this correct. And so when the fear is flashing the message that I am not enough, it's an identity question that relates to your core strength, which is connected to your core need, autonomy. We also talked about the second core fear, and now we're identifying the roots, the deepest fears that you have. They're coming from your core strength. And what's the second one? The second one here was the fear of rejection, which is connected to your core, strength, which is relationships, which is connected to your core desire and need as a human being, which is the need for belonging. We all have these three core needs. The need for belonging causes us to develop strengths around relationships. And when that is threatened, when we sense maybe something like the fear of rejection, fear creeps in. And the question is, which headline are you picking up? Is it, I am not enough? Let's go to the third one, which is the fear of failure, which is connected to your core strengths, which is creating results. Taking your power in the world to create results. And what is that connected to? To your core, need as a human being, which is competence. To create something, to do something with your abilities, with your skill set, to bring up about a solution into the space that you're in. And so our deepest fears are connected to our core strengths. And so when fear is flashed into the system, the fear that comes in, is I am not enough. I am not enough. Excuse me. The fear that says I am not enough speaks to your identity. What's the second headline so that I can connect these two? The second one is I have not enough. I have not enough. And this speaks to your resources. And so when you feel fear, these are the two headlines that it's flashing into your system. Either I have not enough or I am not enough. I have not enough or I am not enough. And it's connected to your deepest fears, either the fear of looking foolish or the fear of rejection or the fear of failure. Now, we may be driven differently at different times to pursue reason, to pursue relationships, to pursue results for our own agenda and whatever safety means for us in that season that we are in. But at the core, these three fears, foolishness, rejection, failure, will kind of play with us from time to time at different times and seasons, depending on what exactly is a threat in front of us. So if I'm in a space where a relationship is really core and I sense rejection, I become aware of, wait a minute, if I do this, what will happen to the relationship? If I walk up to my boss and give him feedback about the his conduct and behavior in a particular project that we're working on, how is he going to respond? He's probably going to burst out, or he's probably not going to like me, and he's going to probably say I'm a bad person. And so we're afraid of rejection, and so we hold back. I am not enough. I have not enough. It's an identity and resources question. These are the two major headlines that are kind of flashed into your system when you sense fear. And noticing which one specifically is coming up for you is one of the ways to navigate fear and face it so that you can forge forward to create whatever more it is that you want in your life. It's a wonderful emotion, I get it, but it has the power to hijack you, hold you back from moving forward in the direction of your dreams. And understanding what fear is trying to tell you, because it's your friend. It's like a dog out in the garden barking. And when it barks in a certain way, and no, that dog is hungry. That's not fear. Hey, when it barks in a certain way, then you're like, wait a minute, there's an intruder, there's a threat. That is what my dog has picked up. And so fear is like this dog within you that barks whenever it notices a threat. And when it notices a threat, the question we are saying is, which of these fears does it flash into, or rather, which of these headlines does it flash into your system? I have not enough. And so if we go back to the story of the snake, and you can see the snake is kind of coming up into the woods, and you're on that path, and it's in your path. What do you look for? You look around, you're like, do I have a stick around me? Like, oh yes, I work in the zoo and I know exactly how to handle this situation, but do I have the resources around me? Like, do I know exactly what I need to do? Pass me that piece of stick, pass me this, pass me that, this or the other. You've seen these guys who go, catching snakes, and they've got this stick or pole that has something like a hook at the front. It's got something like a hook at the front. And what they do is like they skillfully, you know, grab the snake by the head and pull this thing, and now they've got the snake, and they are carrying the snake. Think about, are those people sensing fear in the same way you, who doesn't have the same expertise, is sensing fear? What is it about their system that doesn't recognize that as a threat? It's because they have the resources and they are the person that can navigate that scenario with mastery. On their day one, when they probably went into that job and they had to do the training, they probably had the same fears that you and I have when we're just encountering a snake in the open field. But once we tap into, number one, an identity where we know that we have the resources and we are the kind of person who can step in and navigate that situation, we approach it differently. And so this is the message that I have for you today to tune into. What is the headline that fear is flashing into my system? Is it questioning me about resources, or is it questioning me about my identity? And again, to make the most of today's session, you might need to go back and watch this series that I developed on how to decode the message from fear. How to decode the message from fear. And I did talk about it in this session where I talked about panic to poise, how to create a meeting with fear. And in that, I talked about, fear is an emotion, and, it's a signal. It's seeking for you to take action. And I did share with you, and I kind of decoded how to actually create a meeting with fear. I don't have at my time, at my command, the time to go in and teach about that series on how to create a meeting with fear. Just go back into my YouTube channel and look at that fear series on panic to poise, from panic to poise. And there are 4 steps to create a meeting with fear. And when these headlines get flashed into your system, in that moment, you can literally decode the message from fear and take appropriate action. There's something that fear wants you to do. There's something that fear wants you to take care of, so that it can stop flashing this into your system. And as soon as you become aware of that and provide what it wants, guess what? It dissipates, and it gives you a clear path to proceed into whatever it is that you're trying to do. But if you ignore it and you fail to gain the mastery to understand the message that fear is sending into your system, it will grip you, because it's saying, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't given me this and I'm not letting you go. It's hijacked you. And it's your role in the peak performance journey to have the mindset to know, wait a minute, what is fear telling me? Whether you're going up on stage to do a presentation or you're pursuing your goals and dreams and trying to do something you've never done before, tune into the message. What is fear telling me? That I don't have enough or I am not enough? Tune into that, capture it, and navigate that process in the goal creation journey. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly do that. I do release these kind of teachings every single weekday. And so there's a lot to learn, there's a lot to grow on as you move on in your growth and development journey. It's a peak performance conversation, and I'm sharing with you peak performance secrets. I've been yours, Kamoye Benjamin. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be well, and please do let me know in the comments what you picked up as an idea that has served you. And don't forget to subscribe. Be well. Bye for now.